Progress is coming along nicely, and I'm really close to having a release date, but I'll talk about that later in the video. Right now, I want to talk about the dialogue system of Hyperbolica, because it's way more interesting and complicated than you might think. There's a lot of NPCs in the game that you can interact with, and to give the characters emotion and control the events, I've essentially had to create an entire programming language within Unity to handle it. Let me show you what I mean. So here's an example dialog file. You'll notice that there's syntax highlighting. That's because I created a custom language extension for Notepad++ to make it easier to read. Each dialog has a tag to identify it, along with a state number, and events are put in brackets. These generally trigger body or eye animations at different points in the dialogue, but they can control other events as well. When a dialog is triggered, the game state for that key automatically increases until it reaches the last state, which repeats. There's also special symbols for timing and formatting. Underscores in dialogue are always interpreted as non-printing pauses, and adding more will create longer pauses. \n forces text on new lines, and the vertical bar can group characters together to be printed at the same time. Branching is also supported using the $sign, so implementing multiple choice responses is really easy. These branches use the numbered game states too, so the responses can also change each time to make the dialogue less stale. And a tag can just be jumped to directly if a hashtag is inside an event. It's also often useful to have multiple NPCs talk to you in a conversation, so these numerical events switch context to other NPCs, which are pre-assigned from the Unity game object, the number 0 always being the original NPC. Other times you want the NPCs to be talking to each other rather than to you. This is done by adding an arrow to the numeric event that tells the NPC to whom they should face. Another thing to consider is that game progress often changes what the characters say. So, for example, when you complete a mission, the NPC should have a different dialogue. That's controlled by the @ symbol. It specifies that a dialogue should be changed by some game states, which get concatenated to the name. It's in lowest to highest priority order, so in this example, the friend being in trouble takes priority, regardless of if the mission was completed or not. Dialog states are also meta game states, since they share the same data structure. So you can even change the dialogue depending on if you've talked to a different NPC. Custom game events can be triggered if the event name matches a Unity component on the game object. An integer payload can be sent to the event for more control. For example, in a fade audio event, a 0 might be a fade out and a 1 might be a fade in. And I've added even more functionality in special events, so at this point you might just be wondering, why bother making a complicated system like this? Well, it has a ton of advantages. The biggest reason is that the writers for Hyperbolica don't have to be familiar with Unity to add dialogue to the game. And not just text, but adding emotions to the characters, timing, in-game events, branching dialogue trees. Everything can easily be done in the dialogue file. Oh, and one of the best features about it is that I was able to write a Unity editor script that can automatically reload all the dialogue whenever it detects that the file changed, while playing the game. So I can live write, tweak, and test dialogue without ever exiting the game. It also makes it easier to have everything in text files if I ever want to translate the game. I would just swap the files. But this is looking pretty unlikely now, since I have nearly 10,000 lines of dialogue that are intricately timed with emotional cues and English puns, so I don't think it would be worth it anymore. Anyway, I was hoping to have the new trailer and release date around now, but I need just a little bit more time to commit to that, so this was just a bonus devlog in between. I'll be done soon when it's ready, so just be patient on this final stretch, as I'm still working through a big list of fixes from the first alpha test of the game. Thanks everyone for your continued support, and thanks for watching.